The Chengdu Magic Cube here in China is packed to the brim. Every single seat of this 12,000 person stadium is filled with a warm body, and everyone is cheering at the top of their lungs for the two big players, Uzi versus Clearlove, the Mad Dog versus the Pig Farmer. And we're about to have ourselves one game before Uzi closes out this series, or it could be Clearlove bringing us back to a game 5 and giving Uzi even more nightmares as we get back into this. But still, there's so much that we have to talk about. There is a lot going on in this series. We don't have any substitutions, so it's Edward Gaming and RNG running it back, but something has got to change for EDG. They cannot take that same game into game 4.
Yep, and it's because it's not just Uzi. I mean, he's performing incredibly well, but it feels like a lot more members. Shahu, we already mentioned, was doing quite well in the Karma. But MLXG, I know in the Trash Talk video is talking about stealing your red buffs, blue buffs, dragons, and barons, but he did that all in one game, where he was able to flash in 400 HP dragon, smited it. The Baron run as well made it an easy cakewalk for himself.
And this is a big problem about Clearlove. A lot of us actually did not think he would play in the finals because he has been looking very rusty. We talk about the last set he played against BLG, against Rogue Warriors even. He's not mechanically really at the top tier. This is not 2016 Clearlove. This is not the Clearlove that won the MSI. This is more an older one, still trying to get back onto his groove. On the other hand, though, I think this is when Uzi finally takes over his demons. He's going to beat his demons to a pulp. Because this guy, he's still very young. He's 21 years old still, and he's been playing for 6 years, hasn't won a title yet. The hunger is there, and the maturation is here this split as well. You could see it in Uzi's face right there. There was no emotions. He was a machine. He was killing people.
Yeah, and there was real patience from this team to allow him to thrive in that game as well, because there was a good portion of the game where building up the QSS, he was also getting his items, and they really allowed him to get that time. There was one point in time they were like, all right, I know you want a base, but we'll go top side. We'll see if we can get a pick on towards iBoy. It didn't turn out just because iBoy has good mechanics on that front. But then we're like, okay, we'll play it tempered once again. We'll play it back until we need to. And so when he was able to get multiple crit items for himself, he was a monster.
And again, this is the trust fall that every team that plays with Uzi has to make. But it seems like as he gets older and more experienced, it's less of a trust fall and more of a holding his hand as he steps forward to become the better team. You no longer just trust that Uzi's going to win the game for you. You know that he's going to play better and better as time goes on.
And it's just about the patience and able to the ability to temper his aggression in lane. If you look at this series so far, every time Uzi has a lead, he crushes iBoy. But the other way around isn't true. Actually, Uzi can hold his own. He can have a deficit. He can go into a worse lane, but the team is still going to farm him up. They're going to power farm and give him the resources to come back into the game. So that's such a big mismatch. They basically have EDG in their hands.
Yep, and EDG has to play perfectly. Remember this man right here. I would say the most standout moment for me was actually in the loss that they had versus Snake, because when he was on that Kog'Maw pick, sure, they were in a massive deficit and they were losing fights, but just barely. They were so far behind in gold, but his Kog'Maw, his priority in terms of his target selection was so on point that every fight that should be heavily in favor of the enemy team, he was inching towards finding that opportunity to take it away from them.
You can see he's back on stage. The moment his face appeared, the crowd just went into an absolute uproar. And of course, with MLXG now stepping in to help support him since that game 2, we're seeing the jungle focus on that bottom lane. You've got the Karma in the mid lane to give Athens on Holy Grail and provide so much more with the Ardent Sensor as well. And then you've got the Shen in the top lane to protect the Kog'Maw just in case Uzi makes a rare mistake.
Tell me about the Shen, Clement, because we did run a lot of mock drafts before this point, and a lot of the Shen picks that we were thinking and we were believing we're going to come across was going to be on EDG's side. So the fact that RNG picked it up themselves is a major surprise.
Yeah, I think this is just about putting Let Me into the roster, because he's played Shen a lot more than Zatai does. So you could see it getting onto EDG's mind right there. It's like, wait a minute, do we want to ban it away? How do we want to deal with Let Me? Now he is a Shen player here, and like we said in the previous post game, it's about the skirmish ability, and it's also about the side lane priority. There's very few champions currently in the top lane that can actually split push out of a Shen. The only one is Gnar right there, and if you lock in something else before that, Shen's pretty much open. You can have your way into the top lane and continue that 1-3-1 style.
Of course, his opponent, though, is Ray, and Did say that was your X factor, Ray into Let Me. Last time we saw these two teams, we had the double Riven from Ray that just smashed through the top lane. Could there be a window for Edward Gaming to instead take their priority from bottom lane and look somewhere else with it?
I think the big thing about EDG is they need to find a 1-3-1 split push option that can match RNG, and I think that's going to have to come from the mid lane instead of one of the top laners. There's a lot of flip stick that can go around with top lane, but for mid lane, I'm looking at more extreme picks. The Swain is one of them that can deal with the split push. Azir is definitely off the table, and then you're looking at more experimental things that we have seen Scout pick, but not often. Things like the Echo, things like the Rise, which can actually hold Xiaohu in the side lane. I think that's going to be a turning factor.
Yeah, we've seen some great Rise games coming out of specifically Scout. I think I want to see a little bit more from that on his end. I think Fiora is something that I would love to see coming back into Ray's pockets, just because that would be a great pick in towards the Shen. Also GP. I think GP has been running a little bit of a question mark. No GP so far in the finals, and I think it would be a good opportunity to run it through, as it is a great pick into as the Shen.
We're going to have to find out what that's going to be, of course, as the draft will continue to change throughout this. But still, there is a lot of work for Edward Gaming to do. Their win, if they manage to win this game, they still have to come back in a Game 5 and try to ride that momentum out throughout the rest of this series. And that's no small feat against RNG, playing some of the best league they've ever played.
And here's the thing. I ain't going to call it just yet, because this happened before already, where it was EDG that ran that gauntlet back in towards it. It was a 2-0 last time we saw it, and then it was just a reverse sweep in EDG's favor. So it's on to RNG to keep a proper mental. They find themselves this much on a high. They need to be able to just say step after step after step, no mistakes from here on out.
Well, we'll have to see if they will be able to close it out clean, or if it's going to be a nice, messy game 4. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now ready. It's the Mad Dog, one game away from his final crown, his first crown. Will he be able to take it? I have no idea. Casters, you tell me. Is he going to get it? It's all you.
这是我们第5次进入决赛了吧？其实就在这5次进入决赛中，就不管我们的队伍成员什么都是很有变化的嘛。就唯一没有变化的都是觉得每一次都觉得自己能夺冠。
Well, I'll tell you what, Dom, Uzi is looking to try and pick up his crown, but Xiaohu is trying to pull him over the line as well. He's promised him and promised him and promised him that he'll pick up a title, and now he has the chance to do it, because we are at match point. A win here with Sen RNG to MSI.
And we finally have swapped sides. For the first time this entire series, Edward Gaming are now on the blue side, RNG on the red side, but the bans stay virtually the same.
And remember that RNG, it is game 4. They chose red side. They chose to have the last pick. It could be a power play for their top laner, but it's Let Me. It could be a power play for their mid laner in Xiaohu, something that you might see in a later rotation. And with Karma and Rise gone, I would say that's where they're set for.
Just going through the bans real quick. Karma, Kai'Sa as well as Rise. As you mentioned, Frosker, and similar bans coming out from EDG, despite the fact they're on blue side now. RNG exactly the same. They don't want to see Swain. They don't want to see Talia anymore. And Olaf will be taken away.
Another Trundle priority pick, however, for Clearlove, but Amalek, she handled that beautifully in game number 3. I don't expect he's going to be shaken this much in game number 2. I'd like to see them change it up and give it some sort of combo with Scout.
And you can't give this over to RNG. We thought they were shaky on the Xayah Rakan, but they proved that they are very good. We always knew Min could play Rakan, but now we've seen Uzi on the Xayah, and they first rotated.
Again, reminder that the Lovers duo has been missing from RNG's arsenal for a very long time. Uzi caught a lot of flack that he didn't play it at Worlds. It just wasn't in his champion wheelhouse. He picked it up against LGD, he picked it up against Snake, and he said, no, I can play Xayah. He taunted iBoy and said, you don't need to worry about it, just give it to me.
And he's got it for game 4 when he is on match point. Ming's going to be able to pick up Rakan as well. EDG to get the priority pick of the most played AD carry for both iBoy as well as Uzi. They lock in Varus.
And the change here is that it's not going to be a Caitlyn Morgana that you'll see into it. There's still a chance you get a Morgana in the support role, but the Varus is there under the Xayah. The low-ranged AD carries, well, the mid-range will be going against one another in the bottom lane. The supports mean a great deal.
Super early Cassiopeia, so a lot of kill pressure in this 2v2 in terms of the skirmish power, but taking it blind.
Well, to me, that insinuates the tanks are to follow for the rest of the composition. Ornn is another one that still exists, and for me, RNG should look towards getting rid of some of those tanks, knowing that the Trundle can flex, however, does raise alarms with me that Clearlove could still get a Sejuani.
RNG decide not to go towards their jungle pick just yet. And instead of getting both counter picked for mid lane as well as top side of map, they show what their top lane tank is going to be. Let.Me's going to be picking up on.
We're going to see if RNG have the same read that Rusty has. Coach Hart and Coach Noteface standing behind both these teams. But so far, it's a support bench.
Still tanks. I'll take it. definitely a big part of the
It definitely
composition now.
counts.
Yeah, Braum will be in front of the Cassiopeia and the Varus, which is a big deal. And the Cassiopeia excels at dealing damage, scaling, and protecting your second carry. And you want to stay mid-range. You're against a mid-range carry from RNG. So again, with the Azir gone, you're getting rid of some longer range damage. That's what we're looking at. I personally would love to see an Orianna here from Xiaohu.
And EDG are known for their flex picks when they go onto blue side. We don't see any traditional flex picks, but Trundle can still be thrown into the bottom lane as a support pick if they decide to put Clearlove on a different jungle champion. RNG will get the first pick during the second draft rotation. Already, as you mentioned, Frostcrone pinching the support pool, and they continue to do so. Alistar's their final ban.
Yeah, no surprise. That one had Mako and Obvious written all over it. You need to take away that signature champion. So what is it going to be left? The Tahm Kench is still
He has Thresh.
entirely viable for him. Could play the signature pick of Thresh. Just feel like we don't normally see Mako be the guy to stand up in the high pressure situations to take that champion.
I do think there's a lot of respect from RNG though. They banded away from him earlier. They know what a threat he can be on the Thresh, and I want to see it. I want to see him step up.
He is 37-6 on Thresh in competitive play. That is an absurd win rate.
See what happens. But Jarvan was the final ban coming out from EDG, targeting MLXG's jungle pool, with Azir being taken off nice and early. And you say that, you know, Mako, not really known to be the one that steps up, but he has to. He's the captain of EDG this split. Clearlove has only played 6 games total now, the 2 that he's played in the finals. We'll have to see what they can do.
You can hear the crowd reacting to that pick. It would be the second Singed if it gets locked in. It was actually Zatai that played it the first time around across from Invictus Gaming in game number 5. And we talked about it. We mentioned it. Will he go for it?
No. Tahm Kench is left open. It gets picked up as a support to protect iBoy in the bottom lane. RNG picked up Vladimir as their first pick.
Picks the option that makes the most sense, of course. And whilst we spoke about tanks for EDG, Tahm Kench does kind of fill that role. The top lane is the other role that you'd be looking at. Something else that can stand in front of Varus and Cassiopeia. You'd look at the Cho'Gath as a potential option. It's something that Ray is very good at, and it also provides an extra form of damage, but instead of going towards the damage, acknowledging they're against a Vladimir, they choose to protect their carries.
Yeah, and the thing is I agree. I would have also preferred the Cho'Gath here just because it creates more zone control and potential. The only option that you have to threaten with Shin is, of course, that taunt. But on the Cho'Gath, you have the Rupture, you have the Silence, you have this giant meat in front of you.
You control the lane as well.
Yeah, it just makes more sense for me. So they need to make this jungle mid count with the protection from Shen.
Oh, no way. Oh, he's done it. Darkness has hit Chengdu. It's been taunted. MLSG's been playing it, and he actually locks it in for the first time this split.
Yeah, for context, this guy has been spamming Nocturne. RNG are famous for their Nocturne Leona composition. It's not Leona. It's still a hard engaged support in Rakan, so still the exact same style, which is delete the back line.
Yeah, still works in a very similar way. It's a risky pick here, though, from MLXG, going for the Nocturne. They are a game up. They can afford to go towards this. It ruins Shen's day, causes him absolute nightmares trying to help his team, and that's a big advantage for RNG in bottom lane skirmishes.
And of course on 8.6, Nocturne has had some quality of life changes and adjustments to him. He's gotten buffed up, and especially his spell shield. So his ability to go into darkness, to prime and prep that spell shield, and make sure that he's able to just get immediately into the team fight and look for the assassination.
Can you hear that? It's match point for RNG. And as much as there's a split crowd here, the chants for RNG are just so strong at the moment.
We're next to the EDG part of the stands, and RNG sounds louder. That is how much support Uzi has, how much they want him to get his title.
And MLSG stepping back in as well for the squad. It's been a big boost for RNG. They played well with Casa. They did rotate him in and out slightly during Spring Split, but the playoff buff has been strong. We already see the stats from Uzi stepping up from regular season and playoffs. Xiaohu said it himself, that spring is here, winter is gone, and he is now unlocked. Even MLG stepping up, picked up a niche pick for Game 4.
And on the other side, Clearlove's pride on the line as the star of the league. Scout proving once and for all that he is an elite mid laner in the LPL. He wants to take the MVP again.
A lot of the carry in this game does come from the bottom lane, but the Nocturne's there, the wild card's there. Xiaohu is a member that you can't sleep on, and so is Scout. They've both been having a very good set right now, and if anything goes awry in the mid lane, if one person gets a lead, the entire balance of the map is upset, and that respective team can win it.
Do or die for EDG. They must win this game to send it to game number 5 for RNG. It is their chance to take home the title, their chance to represent the LPL. Let's get on to Summoner's Rift for game number 4. And we heard the RNG chants when they went and locked in their final pick of Nocturne. EDG fans now fighting back. They want to see this go to distance. They want to see EDG get that chance to take down RNG once again.
Now, while everyone is excited about Nocturne, it is a legacy pick for MLXG. He's been spamming it in solo queue recently. Quality of life changes have made the champion stronger. We have to talk about there's a Shen in the game. And if anything is going to throw a spanner in the works, it will be the Shen interacting with Darkness as well as a level 1 invade.
But this is interesting. MLXG is being invaded by Clearlove and Ray. There was a ward that spotted out both Trundle as well as Shen, and he is waiting.
They have to pull it into the bush, and they're going to find MLXG if Ray goes up there. There is a ward available.
There is the ward, placed down, tries to push him out. This could be blue buff to Clearlove, and MLXG doesn't get a start.
He is a feast or famine jungler. That is a perfect example of MLXG as a person. Instead of immediately seeing the invade and just deciding to springboard, get back on tempo, rush to his other side, he tries to find the outplay.
And he's still going, Clearlove. He's gone from red buff to blue buff. He's going to keep him down. Nocturne is a jungler that wants to scale, wants to outfarm you and keep you down.
Not even blue buff.
Clearlove is doing it instead.
Not even blue buff. He says, I will fight you at walls. MLXG does hit level 2, but Clearlove turns around and trades aggressively. Has a buff for himself. MLXG buffless at the moment.
Yeah, Dark Clearlove showing who's the darkness, really. Immediately blitzed into the jungle and taking a page out of MLXG's book for game 2.
And it's not just wolves, it's blue buff. It's pushing MLXG to the other side of the map. It's 20 seconds of walking for MLXG, who is going to be behind in the jungle. And again, he wants 6, he wants tempo, he wants to beat Clearlove. He can't.
Not defaulting to play checkers here, though. Still playing chess as Clearlove is trying to pick up blue, and Ming almost takes away. Actually, Clearlove, he's in trouble! Ricard goes in! One more Q will do the job! Ming has to hit it! Has to pick up Silverbolt! Throws it down! And he does!
Ray's in trouble as well.
They're trying to lock him down, fighting as MLXG, and what looked like a great start for EDG has turned RNG 2 kills.
And Royal truly never gives up. Ming, as well as the collapse from the top side, completely neutralizing any advantage that Edward Gaming had created in the first 3 minutes of play.
That was just heroics as well from Ming, finding the 1v1 at the blue buff, acknowledging that he can get the kill, hitting the skill shots when it matters most, but more importantly, being there to get that done.
When we talked about Mako earlier, but let's look at the fight top lane first, because Ray tried to disrupt this, tried to take it for himself, but he's trapped between a Nocturne and an Ornn. That's not a spot you really want to be in this situation.
Ray trying way too hard just to make it reset. I don't necessarily think he wanted the damage on MLXG, but he definitely wanted to deny the blue buff.
He had flash. He could have lived at any moment, but he was caught by the, I'd say by surprise from the fear. And then it was just layering of crowd control and he had no way out. Disrespects with the flash and is made to die.
It's always one of those situations when you see a champion that you haven't seen in a while, it takes everyone a moment. Got to remember what the champion does, how to play around it. It may have caught Edward Gaming off guard when it matters most.
Definitely. And on top of that, Ming has stepped up. We talked about Mako, how he's not the player, they're not the type of person that usually steps up in a big moment. But Ming, he's the type of player that during a season, he'll win you a couple of games just from his plays alone. And he did it right there, taking down Clearlove.
Now, I will say, for what it's worth, it hasn't ended the game for RNG. 2-0 is still MLXG significantly further behind compared to Clearlove. Even though Clearlove died, he had an advantage in the jungle. He will farm better, and there is still a lot of opportunities for EDG to keep him down.
It just means that we go back to reset. So it's about, again, farming MLXG towards level 6, and we should see a fairly quiet map until then for RNG. For Edward Gaming, ball is now in their court. They have a window to work with where they know that the Nocturne's not going to be viable. So what does Clearlove do with the time?
And just look at the stats for MLXG. 3 wins in the LPL historically. 18-2-20 was his score, picking up another assist here, as Ornn was able to pick up the kill on the top side map. You mentioned, what does Clearlove do? He's invading towards red side of the jungle.
He wants the 1v1. Again, he can take that even though he has a slight item disadvantage, hasn't upgraded it. He's got a level. Level 4 to 3 is enough for a Trundle to win this trade. Enough to keep MLXG down in experience is longer and longer that the advantage should be belonging to iBoy and Mako, pushing in as best they can. But getting everyone to rotate to them is the real win there. Level 6 is what you're looking at for top lane as to when that actually happens.
Clearlove gets spotted out. It's going to get his recall cancelled, but
Scout
is waiting for it. Fear is going to come through. MLXG,
Oh, no!
MLXD into the wall. Does get the rotation of Xiaohu, but that's not going to help him out. Clearlove picks up a kill.
That's the famine in the feast of famine of MLXG. He's been exploited, and now he's made a mistake with the flashes. Mid lane, there's even ults
They're going to
exchange.
take level 6. Xiaohu's looking for it. Good Sanguine Pool coming out from Xiao is going to allow to escape from the final Q that came out from Scout. Ultimate is available though for Cassiopeia.
And again, in 2017, it was Xiaohu that took home regular split MVP, but Scout walked away with the trophy as well as finals MVP. So looking for a back-to-back repeat performance. It was a beautiful bait by Scout to even punish MLXG like that. And again, in finals, he plays up.
Fantastic punish from Clearlove at level 1. Great counter coming out from RNG as a collective unit. But again, finding MLXG in the jungle means that this game is once again dead even when it comes to gold. 9,500 to 10,000 gold, slightly in RNG's favor. But we're just getting started in this 4th game. Finally getting to look in with the top side of the map. Letme's able to hit level 6 first. Ray has used his teleport to get back into the lane. Letme has not done so just yet. But at this stage in the match, you should expect him to stay up and build items for himself. Standing United is going to come up when he ticks level 6, and that's where we could start to see the cross-map plays.
He has been already. Shen is also the close, whilst he is close to 6 and behind in experience, he'll still be there before Clearlove and MLXG, and at a very good time for the bottom lane. That is still a Varus that can be engaged for, and as long as MLXG can't engage first with the darkness, and EDG are the ones going forwards initially, they are the ones with the advantage because the Shen is faster.
You can already see that Ming was actually pulled from the bottom lane to assist MLXG and make sure that he got his 2nd rotation of red buff. And now even further, securing neutral vision and hanging out with Scout just to make sure that MLXG is still able to farm his jungle. So RNG pouring a ton of resources across the map and getting their jungler back on track.
Trying to clear a couple of wards in the river as well, but is forced to call Uzi up to help him out. This is a very early rotation coming out from RNG. Letme is waiting in the bottom lane. Teleport is forced out of On.
He was there looking for an opportunity, perhaps finds himself a kill. You would imagine he was going to teleport anyway and acknowledge that, well, hey, Shen hasn't actually shopped. He hasn't gone for a Tiamat. He's not pushing very quickly at all. So why not try and walk down there just to see if something works out successfully? And I mean, he gets back to top lane, the minions are there for him regardless. So that was a cute little move from Letme. It does result in the teleport being used, which does, most importantly, result in 4 to 5 minutes of not going bottom.
Checking in with the bottom lane, Uzi as well as iBoy have just been sitting back. Well, Ming's been leaving lane just a bit, but there's an initiation coming out from EDG. Good damage onto Uzi, forced to use his own ultimate. They trade quite equally though in the bottom lane.
Yeah, reminder, Uzi still has his flash and his heal, so wasn't in any danger right there.
But he's about to be if Trundle hovers around the area. Cassiopeia still has control of the mid lane right now. And if they're able to rotate, there is always the threat of the dive. And you can see where RNG are standing in their bottom lane. They are petrified.
MLG has found a way to hit level 6 before Clearlove. Darkness is available for RNG's jungler.
But that's why Clearlove's vision on top of the blue buff is actually that important, because they're trying to find Nocturne's gank pathways towards the bottom lane, either to use it offensively or defensively. So again, we talk about how you need to change up your strategy when you're playing against these champions. Much deeper vision needs to come out of EDG to find these angles that Nocturne creates with darkness.
Already fights in the bottom lane as being forced to dash back to Uzi after looking for an initiation. Both Mako and iBoy split up to deny that. Clearlove now looking to defend his own blue buff. His level 6, Letme is level 7.
There's a collapse on from EDG right now.
There's no flash available for him actually, but he jumps straight back on top of Scout. Uses his shield trying to avoid the ultimate, but being held by Scout for now. Xiaohu with the ultimate. There we get some good damage onto towards Cassiopeia, but EDGs are the one that are charging back into this. Clearlove wanting to go forward, but it's just disengaged from both teams.
Yeah, they still rout Xiaohu. They try and look for an opportunity again. The bottom lane is still going for a 2v2 during all of this time, but the real winner here is RNG. They buy time, they get control of the mid lane, but they have to wait on timers once again, and it's more timers this time.
Ultimate, Xiaohu expended. Letme's as well, and the darkness from MLXG is gone. Ray was used his Stand United to protect Scout in the mid lane, but he does have his teleport available and Letme does not.
There is a possible window here where RNG can either take their backs or try to make a play bottom. Since Uzi and Ming are backing up, it's probably just going to be a hard reset on the map. And again, we're just going to roll the dice, wait for these big cooldowns to be back up available, and set up our next plays.
Where do they attack? What is the next play for EDG and RNG to set up?
I mean, usually against a Shin, you have the option that you try to gank and kill the Shin so the Stand United doesn't cause you problems. However, with Nocturne and his burst damage, especially with the fact that he has a Vladimir or a Xayah in either his mid or his bot lane, it's kind of a wide open book for RNG. It's about how MLXG is going to read the map, where he finds the vision, how the lanes are interacting with him, and he can just pick and choose where he wants.
Yeah, he's got 3 lanes to gank when you look at it realistically for the Nocturne and for just RNG, but for EDG, they can go bottom. They look towards bottom actively, and it's about, will MLXG map that out? Will he be bottom to counter it or defuse it before it even happens with the darkness? Or will he go somewhere else and watch as EDG try and trade?
But it almost feels like MLG must defuse it. He can't counter it because that's where EDG shine. They are the team that want to set up here, and unless you defuse the play, the counter's not going to be as effective.
I mean, that said, there's still a ton of damage across every single one of RNG's lanes. So I know that we talk about Trundle being, you know, that dueling skirmish-oriented jungler, and Nocturne is kind of that X factor and still fairly brittle at this point in the game. It's still a ton of burst damage.
Even the lethal tempo getting an increase of attack speed as these two junglers fight over a control world. 30 gold goes to Clearlove.
Yeah, it's just about what MLXG decides to do with this type of information, because Nocturne can hit harder.
Watch your screen, MLXG, because you just took half your health and damage. Subjugate comes out from Trundle, and MLXG's forced to flash away.
He was looking somewhere else. He was definitely not looking at himself, and he didn't think Clearlove would be hiding around the corner for 3 seconds before returning. It was a bit of a mistake from MLXG, just not looking at his character. Ultimately, it's a big win for EDG.
That's 2, Froskerin. Flip a coin of Tails, MLXD, and it's happened twice. One flash into the wall, now not looking at his screen as Clearlove finds him inside the jungle. Now he's trying to get into the bottom lane. Tom Kench getting into the back lines. Nocturne is sprinting down the lane, trying to see if he can get his darkness off. No teleport available for Let Me. Uzi and Ming trying to cut this one back out. Rakan goes in for initiation. Scout taking a lot of damage, but they only take down the AD carry from RNG.
And Uzi and Ming played that just as well as they could have, but like you said, it was Nocturne that was caught out, it was MLXG that was forced back, and that is why EDG choose to pull the trigger.
MLXG makes the mistake, and it's his bottom lane that dies for it. That's the end result. Uzi goes down. He doesn't have to use the flash. He chooses not to. It knows that, you know what, there's 4 people chasing us down. The minions are crashed. EDG played that perfectly into how they were going to catch them out under the turret. The collapse was brilliant.
Don't get too much for the play. They get damage on bottom lane out of turret. They take down Uzi. Get a couple of summoner spells out of RNG. RNG retaliate and pick up an elemental dragon for themselves, Cloud Dragon, at 13 minutes into the match.
I actually had questions of where our lane assignments were going to settle now that Cloud Dragon, but it looks like both bot lanes are going to continue to just walk towards the bot lane, not try to disrupt the Shen or Ornn combo.
I would say that neither explicitly outscales the other. Xayah Rakan, of course, as a duo is super good when you get to late game team fighting. But the Varus in terms of damage output and the LPL Varus that always goes rapid fire cannon second and builds AD crit is still going to hit late game and be a powerhouse. So the bottom lane, you're happy to just continue farming up there for a prolonged time and acknowledging once again, as we've mentioned, that everyone wants to come down to that lane. Why not keep it as the 2v2? EDG just used the Varus ultimate on command.
They can try and jump down there. Nocturne throws out the darkness. It collapses onto Tom Kench. Great health is going to keep him alive a little bit longer. It has flash. Still feared up by MLXG. RNG go for the fight, but Uzi takes so much damage. Xiaohu's trying to rotate down to the bottom lane as well. Shirelli is going to make him run incredibly fast. Tags only Mako with the ultimate. There goes Ming, jumps back in. Stand United keeping iBoy alive. Looking to counter against Xiaohu. Sanguine Pool will get him back to safety this entire time. EDG pushing mid lane.
iBoy and Mako just hold that 2v4. No one's able to kill them. They do not have enough damage. That was so expertly played by them, so calm and so brilliant that they're able to survive, and it gives them time in mid lane. Yes, they're not sieging turrets, but RNG, that play felt a little bit desperate.
Huge swing of momentum here, especially as EDG now crack mid lane tower as the first objective to fall into this game. Like you said, Mako and iBoy, they planted their feet and they absorbed everything in the kitchen sink from RNG.
iBoy still has summoners and now has his ultimate available. Imagine if he had the ult during that. Someone may have died from RNG. That's how well they played.
We still haven't seen what does this Nocturne provide. Lockdown in the early game, found the way back into it.
The hard thing is he had to pick kind of 2 evils there. If he jumps on the ADC, Tom Kench is just going to gobble him up, grab him. If he jumps on the Tom Kench, it's the one champion on the map at this point outside the Shin that you don't immediately have the burst damage to just pop and kill due to gray health. So it was a tough situation for MLXG to be in. They took the gamble and it bit hard.
Not paying off so far in this series, but it's very early into the match. Only 1,000 gold separates these 2 teams. Everyone's trying to throw what they can into the bottom lane, but so far no major skirmishes have taken place on the map. Minor skirmishes across the mid lane, minor skirmishes in the bottom side of the map.
I mean, the one saving grace is that it's a Cassiopeia as opposed to something like a Ryze or a Talia that would make that much more use of being unlocked from the lane. That said, if Clearlove's still holding Cass's hand and escorting her around, you're still dealing with a constant pressured mid lane and something that Xiaohu needs to deal with or at least follow.
And you can see the adaptations from EDG after their defeat, going towards the Cassiopeia as a 3rd pick into the middle lane, not going towards a losing skirmish 2v2. They prioritize their skirmish strength, they invade the jungle, they keep MLXG down. Now the shoe's on the other foot with RNG. They are still looking for plays, but they find themselves 2,000 gold down, trying to fight up.
Darkness is available again for MLXG, but look at the rotations. Ray is moving from top side of the map to mid lane. Scout is still trying to push in that mid lane as hard as he can, keeping Xiaohu occupied, who's swapped out for Ghost. Doesn't have teleport available just yet.
He needs it just because he needs to survive in the lane.
He's
got
ganked.
so much farther to run. He has to pay attention to this
Oh,
pillar.
Ray!
Taunt, Flash and Ray, Fog of War keeps Xiaohu down, does have Flash of his own and gets back to safety, holding on to that Ghost. Can swap it out for teleport if now EDG decide to collapse bot lane.
Yeah, very cute from Ray, gets the flash, but they don't have hard crowd control to follow that one up unless he was facing the Cassiopeia for an immediate ultimate. EDG, they're pressuring Xiaohu, they're pushing him out of lane, they're poking at the turrets, and they're unlocking every individual member to roam and help one another.
Now they're going bot lane. 3 members from the top center map of EDG are trying to collapse on towards the bottom lane.
And you can see that RNG trying to get into defensive posture right now. They've got Ornn and Nocturne deep down. They don't want to give away their position. They want EDG to overcommit on this and try to punish on a counter.
They're going to try and take this one down before RNG can try and start a fight. Clear Love in the back line, so it can be cut off. They go for the initiation, collapsing onto the captain, or the previous captain of EDG. RNG get a pick.
Way out of position there from Clear Love on the wrong side of the team fight and just immediately punish, showing some of that rust of maybe not playing 99% of the split.
You mentioned overextending. He was the one member to overextend it as well. Of course, very good punish from RNG to find him out. And now Ray stepping up still.
EDG rotating towards the mid lane, looking to try and collapse on top of Xiaohu, but they're not able to get there fast enough. RNG's turret in the bottom lane has taken a beating, but at least defend it for a little while longer.
See, that's the thing. I have a feeling that that turret standing was intentional by EDG in the first place because they're trying to deny Uzi, they're trying to zone him out. They want to extend that laning phase because it is giving leads to EDG across the board. So now they'll get it. Eventually, RNG will just let it go. They chose to recall, so it's a conscious losing of this turret. They've acknowledged the exact same thing.
Hopefully we get a check-in with the top lane soon, because when Ray was rotating towards mid lane, Let Me chunked out the top lane out of turret. So RNG can respond by taking a turret of their own, but for now, 2,000 gold behind.
These lane assignments, though, Ming has to pay off here because ultimately, iBoy and Mako are now just going to back, flip up towards the top side, and have priority over the Rift Herald or the tower. Maybe they hang around because it is a Mountain Drake, but Edward Gaming just have so much more, a wealth of options before them, whereas Uzi is just here for the farm, and again, it's a situation that says, sacrifice this for me, I am worth it.
But they delayed it by another 8 seconds, canceling both the recall of Mako as well as iBoy.
And that might be enough to say that they just walk it back down bottom and prepare for Dragon spawning in 13 seconds.
Mountain Dragon, though, not the infamous Infernal Dragon that LPL teams loves to fight over.
It is an advantage for EDG if they get there with the Tahm Kench and the Varus who can rotate super quickly. They've got the capabilities of defending bottom, going mid lane as well, because there is no turret there to defend Xiaohu, and he still has no flash.
Now, there's no way that RNG can approach this. Because of the Abyssal Voyage, it's either bot lane's dead because there's no tower, or mid lane's dead because there's no tower, and it easily then rotates into the 2-for-1 special, Drake and Herald.
See if RNG can regain control of either objective, because EDG marched towards the Dragon Pit. Mountain Dragon has spawned. They're looking to try and take that one for themselves. RNG decided their best lane assignments are going to be putting Let Me down in the bottom lane, switching up Uzi and well Ming towards the top side of the map, and hovering MLXG in that area.
MLXG is one of our greedier junglers when it comes to Rift Herald. He almost always secures it, and you can see that that's exactly what he wants to do now, but he has a very limited window to do so before Edward Gaming reset off of the mountain and then match RNG in terms of the lane assignments, and I feel like that window has passed.
On the way, pings were coming out from EDG to try and contest for the Rift Herald, but RNG have other ideas to move towards top side of the map, and that turret's going to fall.
If they push this and Edward Gaming grab the wave, there is an opportunity that they double back and get it.
Definitely possible. Of course, EDG on the opposite side aren't really there in a position to just outright contest.
They're going to let it go.
They push through and they move straight towards the Baron now, so they can't take
there's
Rift
no
Herald
Herald,
anymore.
it's gone, it's expired. RNG chose a turret instead, and rightly so, it is worth it to get the gold, not the risk or the potential of getting gold that a Herald can provide. The problem with it is usually the mid lane outer turret though, and breaking that.
They were looking really cheeky. You have to think that if that wasn't warded, if the control ward had gone down, they would have immediately tried to burn it.
Note the EDG's vigilance is still present. They know 20-minute Barretts and what they look like.
Throw down the Scrying Orb just to spot out to see if RNG try to take that for themselves. Rage Blade as well as Hurricane have been picked up by Varus in the bottom lane. Good spike coming out from iBoy. Uzi still sitting on that Essence Revo, yet to complete a Zeal.
Which means now the game plan changes for RNG because of the difference in itemization between the ADCs. Xayah, of course, the traditional crit build versus Varus, who's going to spike right now. They're looking for these picks, they're looking for their skirmishes. They want to crack Edward Gaming, tear them apart, and find what they can while they stall for Uzi. So all eyes need to be on Xiaohu and Immelexi because those two are going to be the members that find the gives for RNG.
Does Immelexi start to have to be creative with his Nocturne ultimates? Because at the moment it seems like EDG are looking to group up and force a fight where Nocturne can't quite find access into the team fight with his ultimate alone.
I mean, if you get into the brain of MLXG, which is no easy feat, he doesn't have a lot of options because Tahm Kench exists. He can deny the Shen, right? So that's the big win from him. And what you can do is you have a lot of burst damage up front. Usually when you go Duskblade, which is completed now, the idea of this Nocturne from here on out is to chunk the person that you're ulting. Waste the Tahm Kench ultimate immediately. But speaking of Tahm Kench...
Collapsing topside, Xiaohu's going to be able to avoid the chains of corruption using his Ghost as well as Shirelles to dash out of that fight.
That was a lot of high value there. And kind of going back to Rusty's point, the thing is that if MLXG decides to commit on the Shen, it has to count. Because if they fail there, it's going to be an immediate teleport or stand united towards the Baron pit, and Edward Gaming are going to burn it with a Cassiopeia and Varus.
They haven't found access to that just yet. 22 minutes into the game and both these teams hovering around the pit quite aggressively. EDG have controlled the game for most of it, but only sitting on about 1,000 to 2,000 gold of a lead so far. RNG regain control over the river towards Baron Buff's pit. He's able to take control of that vision, deny EDG once again. They reset the map, still this time spreading out their lane assignments. It's now Scout who's pushed towards top lane.
Right now, we're just fighting over inches. It's a vision war, it's a war of inches, and we're just going back and forth, resetting our waves, moving up into the topside river, and denying a lot of this vision.
Yeah, and to me, I have to look at what is the most important thing for all of the coming fights that will eventually be here. And whilst we can look at the Shen, we can look at the Nocturne. This is one of those few games and few moments where I can really look at the support roles and say it's Mako versus Ming. It's about how good can you engage, how well can you go forwards if you're Ming, against how well can you disengage and protect your team if you are Mako. Because there is a Nocturne with Duskblade coming at you, and you need to eat the right target at the right time to ensure your damage is still maximized. And Ming needs to hit multiple targets. If he doesn't get Mako, that person could live.
And Ming has been playing well so far in game number 4. Mako, we've only seen him play it against one Nocturne ultimate so far, and that situation was able to play it quite well. We'll have to see what's going to happen throughout the next few teamfights. Now grouping on the mid lane, MLG is waiting in the wings.
Here we
Jump
go.
in, there's Ming, gets the double engage. Now look at the lockdown clear up, teleporting the back lines coming out from RNG's team. As it is EDG to look for the reinitiation. Uzi forced to flash away, gets tagged by Chains of Corruption. RNG move away, making sure they disengage successfully.
And that is the flash from Uzi, the flash ult from Ming as well. That is a big part of their engage gone. RNG on the back foot. They didn't have vision before they made that play. That was a flash to cover distance, and now EDG, they kick off Baron.
And like you said, it was the fact that they didn't tag Mako, but the jungler's alive. This is burning down fast.
Letme's going for the initiation. Ming
Got 'em
jumps
all.
in once again, gets all 5 members between the top lane jungler. Mono Silkwa, Redemption, steals Baron. RNG take down EDG are against the Baron pit. More fight going through. Scout's trying to get out alive. Uzi can't get over the pit, but the damage is done. RNG pick up a decisive fight.
They're still going, they're still looking for more. Tahm Kench has got one of them out, but they have to lose Ray.
He tries, but this is the sacrifice that
go
could
on.
give them hope. Ray stays alive a little bit longer and escapes. Gets out alive for now. Xiao finally collapses at a prolonged team fight, but still in favor of RNG.
And RNG proving why they are such a threat. They are a super team, a whack-a-mole of talents, as Clement said on the desk. Every single RNG member had their day today. Xiaohu in game 3 with the massive team fight flank. Uzi on the Kog'Maw pick, and now the spicy hot pot himself finds the Baron.
And for MLXG, it all happens in one game. A mistake with the flash early, mapped through the jungle, but he gets what matters most in the end, and that is the Baron. When you look at RNG and they're scaling for the remnants of this, they are going to utilize that Baron to at least keep themselves even and now ahead. They have pushed to about 3,000. They are set up now to push forwards.
And that's twice now. As we mentioned earlier in game 1, EDG went for a Baron play. Sorry, in game 2, I believe, went for the Baron play, didn't set it up correctly. Now in game 4, it's same situation. They burn a couple of summoner spells as well as ultimates. They think that's their time to try and take Baron. but RNG set up for the counterplay really effectively.
Still a very dangerous game to play. We're still waiting on itemization, the Infinity Edge coming out of Uzi. So while this Baron does give momentum back to RNG, a bit more power, it still feels more like a neutralizer versus something that they're going to take full advantage and rush forward with.
You know who did get the kills though is Xiaohu, and that is the death cap completed. That is the third item done for the Vladimir. And when you talk about team fighting champions, Xayah's on the list, but Vladimir is towards the top of that. And RNG can team fight with Baron. They can move around the map, and they can even force 1-3-1s with a Vladimir now. Who's going to contest him?
That's what they need to do, is force those side lanes, because still just walking up to a tower as a 5-man unit and attempting to siege with this composition versus that one can cause a lot of problems. So I agree. Use the strength of the Vladimir right now. Use the reach of the Nocturne.
Let's watch that again. Fight starts from RNG. 5-member knockup between Ming as well as Let Me, and the steal coming out of MLXG.
The disrespect on the Ornn ultimate firstly as well, and the early stopwatch used by Scout was a big part of why Xiaohu is able to just get into the backline and assassinate people before the fight even starts. And then the rest of that was just run away, try not to die.
And yeah, MLXG secures the Baron, but like you were saying, the Ornn knockup there. So Let Me also having a quiet, great game from himself.
For the side of EDG though, Ray playing out of his mind there, was able to taunt flash over the wall, lock down MLXG before he could collapse onto Mako. That allowed Mako to get out alive and take one of their members with him. And on top of that, took down MLXG in the wrong team fight as well.
You speak towards item spikes, yeah. He got the Krugs for a very good reason. If your jungler starts them and your AD carry finishes it, you know that the Infinity Edge is coming.
Infinity Edge, Essence Reaver, as well as Rapid Fire Cannon and Boots complete for Uzi. 0-1 and 2, but he's picked up 311 CS, and he's looking to become a monster in these late game team fights.
The Baron bought him his power spike. He now has it. Uzi, you are one game away from your championship. You have the ability. You've got the power. Let's see it.
I will say that both teams are spiking right now, though. They've got their big items spiked. It is only 2,000 the difference, and with the itemization that they've got for themselves, it doesn't feel like 2,000. That's the thing. This next fight, RNG will be able to be in an advantage from Baron control and vision control, but EDG can very easily win that fight.
Make it 3 as RNG take down bottom lane out of turret. Baron buff has expired, but is still looking to try and continue pushing. Raid looking for a flash, but Clunar's being caught! RNG get the pick! Darkness comes out of LXG, denying the save from Raid.
And Clearlove once again out of position, just gives RNG another turret, gives them advantage, grows the lead even further. Maybe there was a moment for EDG, and that moment starts to become fleeting. As Clearlove 1 and 4.
It's also Ming again, time and time again, stepping up, grabbing the Rakan. Mako had the opportunity. He could have put on the carry pants. He could have picked his Thresh. He decided to play for the team, decided to play defensively, and Ming is having the game of his career.
We said that it was a little bit too early to talk about Ming when he made that play to take double buff away from Clearlove, but he's being consistent in this game. We said it. He is a player that will win you a couple of games a split, and this looks to be one of them if he keeps it up.
And again, this is why RNG are the threat. They can carry from so many different positions. They have so many different ways to change the draft, to change the priority. A 7-man outfitted roster, and they look to be on the cusp of proving why they are the greatest.
The crowd knows it. They know how close RNG are to getting that victory.
They can taste it.
When you look at Xayah Rakan, usually you look at the Rakan as the big carry. And that is proven to be true even when your AD is Uzi in this game.
Which is why it was so important that we never saw the Lovers duo come out of RNG. Uzi needed to play the Xayah so they could give the full power to Rakan and really unleash the type of aggressive playmaker that Ming has become.
Let Me, Ming, MLXG, and Xiaohu have set it up. We saw the initiations coming out from top lane in support of RNG. They've been phenomenal. Xiaohu has picked up a 3-0-1 lead with Rabadon's and Void Staff complete. He's looking to try and bring Uzi over the line. MLXG stole the Baron. The bases are loaded, and now all Uzi has to do is hit that home run to bring it home.
But do not sleep on EDG's team composition. If MLXG goes forwards and disrespects, if Xiaohu steps up too far, they die. They die extremely quickly, even if Ming misses the engage. You're looking at a team composition that can stand and deliver incredible amounts of damage incredibly quickly. RNG have to play this out perfect.
Yeah, it's a bear trap. If you ever chase into EDG's composition and you don't 100% know that you're going to close the fight, Cassiopeia and Varus will eat you alive.
So what is the play we see from RNG next? Because we know EDG want to set up and look for the counter. How do RNG dissect EDG once again.
It's the Baron play. You can see Ming on your screen right now. He's using Uzi as bait. He's standing on control wards. They have multiple vision control over the area, save for one blue ward behind them on the Raptor ramp. And it's going to be the same play. Rinse and repeat. Look for that pick from Ming, and then just follow through. Dog pile on top of it.
It can't just be a pick. It has to hit multiple people when you take the pick, or there has to be no Mako nearby. Always the thing to consider here, but you're right. Ming is hovering in control wards. They have plenty of them as well. Uzi is a big part of the bait. The distance that you can cover to get to your Xayah is massive. It's close to the Zac Gang styles at level 5 that you've seen in mid lane.
Well, Infernal Dragons respawning in a minute 20. However, Baron's coming up much faster. 5 seconds and that a main objective is online.
RNG have the superior flank right here. Shin and Varus
Oh, no.
are actually out of position. If they know red buff's there and they pull the trigger, they know it's a numbers advantage.
They set up for it, but a good ward comes out of Clearlove and spots out both Uzi as well as Ming, even MLXG waiting in the wings.
When you speak to vigilance and checking bushes, Trundle has the pillar. He can use that effectively to find people as well as placing vision himself. So that was good from Clearlove. He's upgraded his support item as well to have 4 wards available. They can find you constantly, but the range of Let Me is longer than a ward.
RNG are looking for that flank. Let Me is there. Xiaohu's in the backlines with Ghost
I mean, they're
and
funneled
Flash.
right now.
Horn comes online. They look for it, and it's bouncy castle time. Stand United comes through before Darkness. MLXG now dashing into the backlines. Uzi uses the ultimate nice and early, but they killed Iboy. They take down the carry. They're looking for more kills. 3 members of EDG left alive, and RNG are chasing for more. Clearlove looking to try and escape. Let Me is chasing him down, and Ming looks to lock him down as well. He gets out alive, but bottom lane EDG is dead.
EDG are lucky to have 3 alive, frankly, after that fight. That should have been to RNG. It should still be the Baron to RNG. Clearlove has been forced to recall, and that's the moment that you're looking for. It's not just Ming. It is Let Me. It's the support staff of RNG. They are doing the work.
And it simply means that Edward Gaming survived to fight another day, but they are running out of chances. RNG, it's not going to go easily, though. EDG are not going to go quietly into the night. They will make them work for it, scrape over the finish line.
RNG, the 2-team fight team. That was their second. The comeback of Baron, the pick against Clearlove, and now another Baron fight. All they have to do now is use it as effectively as we've seen them do it this entire series. Split apart EDG and continue that split push.
But this is the moment. This is the point after this fight where you work out if Uzi really has the mettle to win the rest of the game. You'll see it here again. Let Me, he knows where everyone's going on this, on the team fighting, their ability to cross walls as well as engaging. Iboy has no chance to deal damage. He's standing next to a blood pool and he's just dead.
And again, the key thing's the fact that Iboy was forced to use his summoners there. So if RNG do want to make this a 2-team fight, 1-2 good night, they try to force the fight here. And if Edward Gaming try to defend, make a mistake, the game will end. That said, EDG not known for that. They don't just roll over and die. I have a feeling they'll just continue to slowly bleed out objectives and again, plant their feet, give us one good more 5v5.
Cast your mind back to what they did against Invictus Gaming during the regular split. 10,000 plus goal behind, EDG still found a team fight inside their base. They are the kings of team fighting in the LPL, and they can put up a last stand.
But they have to put it up very soon. This is Banner of Command minions. Again, this is something that can end the game if you don't know how to force objectives, and they are looking.
Can you hear that? Uzi can taste it. His team are trying to pull him over the line, and even the crowd knows.
The Horde is out.
Let Me wants it now. Nocturne's going in, and the enemy carry is dead. Chasing to the back lines. Scout using the stasis, but he's going to go down as well. Uzi picks up a double, and there's only one member left, and it's Rain.
All they need to do now is dot the I's, cross the T's. RNG, they have set themselves up to win.
Where were you when history was made? Because here comes Uzi.
The curse lifted. The prophecy has been fulfilled. Uzi now reigns as king. Royal, never give up. Champions, and they will take on the world at MSI.
The king has been crowned, and Doublelift, Prey, Reckless, can you afford to take the throne from him? Because the best AD carry in the world is now attending MSI for the first time.
And it's been thrown around as well. Best AD carry in the world, is he the best player in the world at the moment? But what is certain is that RNG will lift the cup. Uzi gets his first title in the LPL, and he's looking to take his first major international as he heads to MSI.
RNG have actually done it. Something that was a curse for Uzi. It was impossible for him to get the victory. He's been able to do it. The meta was finally for AD carries. He was there to be supported. At the end of the day, he does more than just be supported. His team supports him across the line.
Coach Hart and Kesman now joining the stage, followed by General Manager Firefox, former coach, gone to Worlds 3 times on 3 different teams. And a huge sigh of relief for Uzi. This is a guy whose trophy case has been built up not on medals, but of the millions of voices saying, you are one of the greatest players to ever play the game. But now he's got the trophy to say, what's next? Next chapter.
That's what Uzi said at the start of the split. Come and beat me. He said it again at the start of playoffs. Beat me. Ivory got the best of him last split, but he's done it this time round. He is the champion.
And it may not be EDG that go to MSI and
Lift
try
it
and get a
up,
second flag. It's Uzi. It's his moment to go and be a superstar at the international once more.
It's been a long time coming, Uzi.
And as we said in that final game, Xiaohu said it himself. I'm going to pull them over the line. The support cast did, and Uzi hit it home to break down that series a little bit more. Let's send it back to the analyst desk.
Whopping, out of a whopping 12 splits, 11 playoffs, and 4 finals. He has finally done it.
I'm just about to tear up, man. I'm just about to tear up. The moment, the moment he hoisted that trophy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that made this moment. Everyone under this stage that has cheered for us, that has been a fan for us, I want to thank you all. It's always been with you guys all along. What's your next move going forward to MSI now that you've won Spring? We're going to welcome one of the leaders from Tencent to speak to us. $1.5 million RMB given to the championship, as well as everyone gets a golden card for the victory.
今天在这个舞台上，不管是 RNG 还是 EDG， 都是拼尽了全力，为所有成都的召唤师们送上了最精彩的一场对决。我们此时此刻再次把掌声。
The road that they took to get to this point, Clement.
It's just so amazing. I was tearing up. I was crying with all the fans down there. We've been waiting for this moment for so long, and just look at Uzi. Like, he's so under control now.
That's always been the trouble, keeping those emotions under check. Once you finally rein that beast in, it becomes something terrifying. And every other AD carry in the world has got to pay attention now because he's about to go on the international stage.
In RNG, they set it up for it. 4th game, they had side selection, red side. They were hiding that Zyricon just for this moment. He said in the interview, please don't ban it away, I'm not that good. It was all a trap.
Now we've got the MVP coming at you in just a moment.
And the MVP award is coming down. It will go to Uzi.
斗到了最后一刻，我相信每一位。
A sigh of relief from Uzi as he picks up his MVP in the Spring Split Finals, his first domestic title.
And you got to wonder if there's doubt there, just because along the road, getting to the point where he knows he's going up against EDG, could he do it? He proves that not only was he able to achieve it, but in a 3-1 victory. A phenomenal finish.
And this time it's really special. He didn't have to come up with all the magnificent plays. He had his teammates around him. The last team fights, look at the coordination from Letme, from Ming, taunting 4 people in that last one, and Letme getting the bounce house going. And also MLXG holding on to his ultimate until the Tahm Kench Devour was done and then flying in. This was a group effort, this was a team effort, and it was a culmination and end of the journey and a start of a new dynasty here in LPL.
And that is going to be the jacket that we're going to see the members of Royal Never Give Up wear to MSI 2018, proudly bringing the LPL Dragon to the international stage.
The Yellow Dragon is only reserved for Emperors, and that's what RNG are. Finally, the dominating organization in their own turf. This has never happened before. Well, it has happened, but without Uzi.
The beginning of a new era in League of Legends. Times are changing, dynasties are falling, new names are arising, and we're only just beginning.
Yeah, it was a spotlight, of course, shining on Uzi, but every single player, his partner in crime, Ming, had a phenomenal Rakan performance this game. It's a shared trophy between both of them tonight.
It absolutely is a trophy that they will finally get to take home, that Uzi himself will get to carry. Absolutely amazing. And he's finally done it. I can't believe it. Wait,
I can't either.
Team Liquid isn't in 4th anymore. Uzi's won a domestic. SKT has fallen. What is going on, guys?
I said 3-1, and even I can't believe it.
The script is gone. We're flying free.
Yep. So worlds are changing, my friend.
Yeah.
The worlds are changing. And it really feels like it comes down to persistence. You try time and time again. The changes they made an off-season what's counted here.
Yeah.
You already talked about Karsa was a major pickup for them. So Zatai was a major pickup for them. To hoist the trophy, it was still MLXG and Letme that were there the final game, but it was the fire underneath them to be able to get it for them.
Yeah, this story is just great. It resonates so much with the Chinese story. Again, you start out so strong, you're so talented, but you have to come up from behind. You have to grow up, and you have to go through that journey to actually taste the fruits of your success, of your hard labor right here. And I think everyone in the crowd, everyone in the LPL, we've got a bit of Uzi in us. We can feel what's happening right here. It's just so amazing.
It really is. It's finally happening. And we can't just say that this is just Uzi's victory. As we said, the whole team coming together. MLXG, he's been trash talking Clearlove for years. And finally, even with Clearlove stepping up and trying to push him out of his own jungle, MLXG pushes back and pushes Clearlove off the throne.
Just the Baron steal as well. I mean, we have to say it. The fact that throughout the entire series, it was MLXG just bullying Clearlove in objective after objective. That it felt like every single time EDG had a good position on an objective, it did not matter.
In Clearlove, does he fade away? Is he going to come back strong? Those are the questions we're going to ask EDG. Is this still going to be the dynasty team for the LPL, or are we seeing a new dawn here?
We're certainly going to find out in just a few weeks when that new dawn takes to the international stage. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in for this exceptional broadcast. History has been made as Uzi has finally claimed his domestic title and will ascend with Royal Never Give Up to the MSI stage in just a few weeks. But on behalf of myself, my wonderful analysts, the casters, and the entire arena of Chengdu, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you at MSI.
Yeah.